Hello, I'm Andrew Wimmel, Board Certified Master Arborist and Director of Operations and Safety here at Sam Hill Tree Care, and today I'd like to tell you a bit about structural pruning, what it is, how it can benefit your trees, and then walk you through a plan that we have for working on one of our clients' pecan trees. So what is structural pruning? Structural pruning is a particular process that we use to either lessen defects or eliminate them from the tree and to promote a good, strong tree form for the life and retention of the tree. We use a kind of a three-step process. The first part is an assessment by one of our arborists. Ideally, wintertime, we can do it at any point in the year, but winter is a great time to be able to assess the structure of trees. At that point, we don't have as much foliage obstructing our view. We look for defects, areas to improve. Then from that assessment, we formulate a plan, and then once that plan is approved, the third step on that is meeting with our team and executing the plan. So, good structure or bad structure, how do we tell the difference? When you look at a good structure, one of the easiest ways to think about it is think about a tree being in its natural setting, in a forest. In a forest, there's lots of competition. All the trees kind of work together. There's less individual stress on the tree because you have a large group of them and they all kind of move together in the wind. When you take a tree from that setting and you place it in a landscape, you have an abundance of sunlight, and that creates the opportunity for more horizontal development. The trees grow wider. We tend to see more competition within the tree itself, and that can create some challenges for us. These challenges can be made worse with certain pruning practices, such as lion's tail pruning. So now we're going to walk through an actual scenario with one of our clients' pecan trees. So when we look at this tree, I've got a couple of things that I have marked out: yellow, green, blue, and orange. In yellow, you'll see we call this lion's tail pruning. When I look at the length of the branch and the diameter of the branch, I see lots of small sprouts developing, pruning cuts all over that branch, and not really many typical size, smaller secondary or what we call lateral branches in there. That's an indication of lion's tail pruning. If you think of a lion's tail, you got this really long, skinny stem and everything out on the end of it. When we see lion's tailing, you tend to have an overextended branch. There's lots of stress on that branch. It tends to move very differently in the wind compared with a branch that has been maintained with proper structural pruning, and it moves very differently from what you see in a natural setting in a forest. Then in green, you'll see that what we have is a large diameter branch removal, and the actual crown of the tree or the overall canopy has been what we call raised or lifted. This means that the lowest branches that are typically in a forest shaded out very early on, so the wounds end up being very small, or when those branches die out, they end up being very small in diameter. When you raise a canopy, it tends to be done very late in the tree's life, so you have large diameter wounds. It takes the tree a very long time to close that wound, to compartmentalize it. Then we will see in blue what's called bark inclusions or codominant branches and stems. When we see a tree that moves from, again, a forest setting to this more open area, that abundance of sunlight creates a difference in growth hormone allocation, and you'll see lots of horizontal development. And when we have this development, the canopy tends to get very thick, and we can have many branches of near equal size growing next to each other or growing vertically, depending on where they are in the canopy. When they're near equal size or they have a very acute angle like this, that acute angle, we tend to see bark actually inside the union itself. We call that a bark inclusion. And then when we see near equal size, we call those codominant stems or codominant branches. Both of those have a much weaker union than if the parent branch was much larger, more vertically developing, or if it's a horizontal branch horizontally, and the lateral branch, or that secondary one, is much smaller. It tends to have a more wide union. There's more wood fibers in there actually connecting the branch and kind of locking it into that parent branch or stem. And then in orange, you'll see what I have planned for is the targeted reductions to try and lessen the force or lessen the development on each of these areas, each of these defects on this particular tree. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in learning more about structural pruning, or you'd like to have your trees assessed, please feel free to call our office at 972-481-9565, and our administrative team will be more than happy to assist you. And we look forward to meeting with you and taking a look at your trees.